Okay, there we go. Um, so I'll give them both a second to introduce themselves here in a minute, and talk about everything that they've got going on. But first, wanted to go over an agenda. So we're going to talk about Indium Co-op. Going to give Tarmica and Vertifor both a little bit of time to dive into their platforms, give us a demo, talk about unique cases that really give members who are using their platforms like an edge on the competition and just make themselves better. Talk about best practices. How do you guys want to be interacting with these raters in order for them to make a difference? And then we're going to open it up for Q&A. So a couple of things. So Tarmica and PLR are both on our approved list for vendors for our Indium co-op. So eligibility for co-op just opened this week, last week. So all you guys have to do to become eligible is complete our eligibility form, which just walks through your current tech stack, tell us what you guys use, so we know how to interact with you guys, recommend things that you could use, other things that you could use. And Premier will get $1,000 a year, Concierge $2,000 a year. So if you have any questions about that, shoot me a chat. Happy to send you the link and get you set up. All right. So first up, we've got Heather with Tarmica, who I will let you share your screen if you want and let you run with it.
Sure, thanks, Lindsay. Thank you guys for joining. John is a familiar face in the crowd for me and Tarmica, but pleasure to present to you guys today. I've been with Tarmica for about 3.5 years, and so I'll be walking y'all through a quick demo since I know we have a lot to get through today. And then we can, of course, take some questions there at the end. But for any of you on the call that might be unfamiliar with Tarmica, as Lindsay said, it's a rating platform specifically for commercial lines, allowing agents to enter their client information a single time, get it out to market with multiple appointed companies, and bring back those rates so you can easily determine eligibility and figure out who you should move forward with. So I will go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully everyone's looking at the Tarmica homepage. Perfect. So Tarmica is just a web-based platform. Like I said, it's agent-facing where you and your staff can go in to do your new business quoting or remarketing for small commercial. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into that submission process by hitting Create Quote here. First off, the user will be prompted to select either a single line of business to start quoting, or you do also have the ability to choose multiple different products for that insured. If you know you need, let's say a BOP and workers' comp, you can just walk right through that workflow for both products at one time. But for the sake of time today, we're going to just go ahead and click into a sample business owner's policy. So here the user will begin walking through that submission flow, always starting out with kind of just that basic company and contact information, and you can track your progress along the top as you move through that. And then as a user, you'll also see this carrier panel displayed on the right-hand side. I'm actually working within our demo environment at the moment, so this is showing all of our carrier partners that support BOP on Tarmica. But for your particular agency, you would only see either the carriers that you are directly appointed with or carriers that you might be accessing through Indium as well. So here we'll go ahead and start entering in some sample information. Well, like I said, pretty basic as we just get started here. We'll go ahead and type in our address and contact information. And then we can move right along by hitting Save and Continue to select the business classification. For your business classification, we are integrated with another company or tool that's called Ask Kodiak, which is like a market appetite search. So you can either enter in the class code itself, or you can begin typing in a keyword, such as craft store in this case, and then we'll populate all of the different classes that are related or relevant to that. So you can choose the one that is the best fit. As you continue on, you'll just have some of your standard business information, such as number of employees, payroll, revenue, things of that nature. If you guys are quoting small business, I'm sure this all looks very familiar to you. You can also say whether or not the insured has a prior policy and indicate who that prior carrier is. And then if needed, you can include claims or losses in the last 3 years. So you can go ahead and input that information. Or sometimes agents would prefer to just upload the loss runs once in the carrier portal as well. Alrighty. So my demo environment's being just a tad bit slow here for me today, so apologies for that. But we'll go ahead and see and continue in just a moment here. Hopefully. Might need to switch to production for doing some testing and things like that. Let's see. There we go. All right, so we'll move on there to our building information, which is going to be that 3rd page in our BOP quote flow. So we can indicate whether the insured owns the building, yes or no. If you do select no, your replacement cost field down below will actually just go ahead and drop off. And then we can indicate our square footage versus the total building. Select the construction type. And again, pretty straightforward with the set of questions that we see here. And then we're really going to get to, the core of the platform or why it really exists, which is the ability to select those multiple different carriers for this one craft store that we're trying to quote. Again, you're just going to see those carriers here that either you are directly appointed with, or like I said, you might be accessing through Indium with those more master codes. So you have the ability to choose between that full breadth of carriers. Some of the carriers, however, when you reach this page, will already be grayed out, displaying a class not supported message. So when you choose the business class, if we already know right away that falls outside of the appetite for that carrier, we can remove them from selection for you. But in order to choose a carrier, you'll just click into their logo here. And then it's generally a good practice to just take a quick scroll down the page to verify that carrier BOP class. And some of the carriers will also give you the ability to customize or add on different coverages and endorsements that are specific to their offerings if you would like to do so. But if not, you can easily just come right back up and continue selecting those other carriers. So, of course, this is really going to be completely up to the agent on which or how many carriers they end up submitting to. But of course, we encourage you to choose as many as you can just to really get that true value of the system. So we'll go ahead and just stick with these handful of carriers here. Move on to the coverage page. This is where we'll select our limits. And then I'll leave the rest alone, but you do have the ability to include, equipment breakdown, liquor liability, anything that's relevant to the client. And lastly, the user will have the supplementary and submit page. This last set of questions is completely dynamic based on the carriers you elected to submit to and the questions that they require in order to return a rate, as well as trying to narrow it down to the industry or business class that we're working within. So any fill in the blanks, we can go ahead and answer those. But also a lot of these questions will be defaulted to an answer for you based on how they're most commonly answered within the system so that it's easier to just check it over rather than always having to select everything one by one. Once you feel good about all of your answers there and it's complete, here we'll go ahead and hit submit quote. And this is now when the Tarmica system is actually making that direct API call out to the carriers you chose and transferring this client information into each of their respective quoting portals. Once we hit view comparative quote, we will now be in the quote overview section of the platform. You can see all of your quote request details will be here along the top, and then the carrier responses will start to kick back. Excuse me. Initially, when you hit view quote, it is common for some carriers to say not yet quoted, but nothing to worry about. It just basically means it's still in progress. But the Tarmica platform will auto refresh every 10 seconds. So as the carriers send back those premiums or declinations or refer messages, whatever the case may be, we'll go ahead and display those to you in real time. And like I said, we are in demo, but our production environment expectation is that all responses come back in under 60 seconds. All right. So once you do have those different carrier responses here, you can hit view to drop down some further details on the quote if there is additional messaging being provided by the carrier. But otherwise, you can just go ahead and hit the access quote button, and that is what will bring up that carrier portal, prompt you to log in, and that's ultimately where you will review the information that was passed over from Tarmica and continue with that bind workflow. So that's really the gist of, start to finish the submission process in Tarmica. There are some other features that you can take advantage of, such as pre-filled Accord forms or downloading a side-by-side PDF and things like that. But since we are pressed for time today, I wanted to at least give you guys the run through so you can see how it all works.
Thanks, Heather. Does anyone have any specific questions about the Tarmica platform before we go into POR?
Hey, Lindsay, this is Brad.
Hey, Brad.
I kind of misunderstood the first part. So what if we're part of Indium, depending on what class we're in or whatever, what we're paying, what is the cost for this and so forth? I got a little confused on that.
Yeah, so how co-op works is you would work with Tarmica directly to get your account set up and get the rater purchased, and then we will reimburse you based on what membership tier you are, either $1,000 or $2,000.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Heather, are we going to have contact that we can get that information and get that price maybe within an email or something?
Not myself personally, but yes, I think Lindsay's connected with some other members on our team, so they can definitely get that over to you.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, well, now I'm going to pass it over to Dylan Braun, who's with Vertifor, and he's going to talk a little bit about our personal lines rater that connects within our system and is our preferred partner on the co-op.
I'm gonna drink some water to clear my throat before I go. So nice to have me on. Thanks so much, y'all. So I'm not gonna go through a demo of PL Rating. What I am gonna do is I'm gonna talk to you about our partnership, and I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm gonna show you some really cool things that we've got going on with Indium, with PL Rating, but then with some of our other tools as well. So thank you, Lindsay, so much for having me today. Quick one on me. I've been with Vertifor since 2017. You can see I'm not in the office today. I'm at another networks conference. I work specifically only with networks and associations from our team's perspective. I used to sell product for a couple of years, so I'm very familiar with all of our products and then with how our process works. So for instance, Brad, for example, for your question, I'd be happy to connect with you if you have anything on that and connect you to the right people moving forward through this conversation. We partnered with Indium officially in the end of November last year, I do believe. And we've been really happy to be along the ride with y'all ever since. The entire group, top to bottom. I was just out in Columbus earlier this month, talking with Kat and Caleb about things and just understanding how we can help and the best way that we can benefit y'all, the members, because that's what this partnership does. So I will quickly share my screen to talk about that. We're here. Are we seeing the website, the Chrome page? Okay, awesome. So as you can see up here at the top, if you go to vertipore.com/Indium, this is the landing page that we had created just for you members. And you can come here at any point in time to contact your account manager. You can also get over to the Indium website very easily here. We have partnership pages with all of our partners here on Association Network if you wanted to visit. I scroll through here. We've got obviously some information on Indium, which we obviously, with our partnership, will direct other folks that are interested in Indium directly here. We've got also a picture of Cat, quote, and then a couple of our products on here as well that are highlighted specifically. And I believe that specifically for the co-op, we do have other ones as well within our bundle and within our pricing that we have for you. But these ones specifically for co-op and a couple I wanted to chat about today as well. Wanted to get to a demo. Again, I'm not a product person. Oh, Heather, I loved your demo. It's great to see Tarmica and great to see what y'all are doing. Come here to the website and click on this demo. It's a quick video that's just going to give you a high-level detail. And if you want to get in touch with someone to actually ask questions and stuff, then I'll have Lindsay and Caleb and folks direct you back my way, and I'll put you in touch with someone here. We can get you a one-on-one demonstration on so you can get through the entire product and everything. For our partnership, a couple of things I want to mention. One, yes, we've got discounted pricing. We've got some awesome discounted pricing for y'all. Please connect with me and I'll get with you on the specifics around that. We do also have a promotion that we're running through the end of the year. So please reach out, connect with me, and we'll talk about that as well. Specifically for today, we want to talk about PL Rating, which is our personal lines rater and comparative rater for personal lines. It's a great tool. It's a tool that we have set up with Indium so you can rate directly through their shared carriers. Technically, your shared carriers are shared by them and their appointments directly through your PL Rating tool, as well as your own appointments that you have directly, right? So as you get into PL Rating, start typing in information. Information not only is integrated directly with all of our tools. For instance, if you're not familiar with Agency Zoom, I'll touch on it here in a second, but if you populate a lead into there, it immediately within 5 seconds goes into PL Rating, which then immediately goes over to AMS 360 or QQ or whatever management system you have. So if you were to come into PL Rating and start typing in someone that you might have talked to, you can start working on a quote for them immediately, have all their information pulled up, along with our add-ons like the Marshall Swift Beck, the driver, pre-fill, solutions at quote, which are all information that we have with our direct carrier partners, and then of course the GMVs. So if you are trying to get a quote and you haven't got all the information directly from your insured, you can get that information through our platform as well. I'm going to mention about our platform because we do have relationships with all of those carrier partners. We're not scraping websites, so the quote that you're going to get is accurate as long as the data is accurate. When you go in and actually populate that quote, you'll be able to see on your list of carriers if it has an Indium logo. That's one of your shared carriers. That's your access directly through Indium. Then you'll see logos for all the other carriers as well that you might have yours direct with. So just let you have an idea here on the website. You can get some more information, get demos. If you ever need to get in touch with your account manager for any sort of vertical product that you have or need, you can get that there. And then I wanted to show you the PL Rating website as well while we're here. So you do also have the ability to request a demo. And for anybody that has vertical product, you could always use this number here to get in touch with support. We'll pick up the phone in about 30 seconds to get in touch with you. But I think what Heather was showing was you're able to see the carrier appetite as well, which I thought was pretty neat. So I pulled this up. So thanks for showing that. But if you come down a little bit further into your state, which of course we're going to Ohio, we're able to see per carrier for PL Rating, but then also our other add-on, which is Consumer Rate Quote, which I hadn't touched on yet. Consumer Rate Quote is our tool that sits on your website. So you can send insureds directly to your website. They can request a rate there. They won't actually get a rate and they won't be able to bind. They will get a message at the end that says Lindsay will also be contacting you in a couple hours or something like that. But that being said, if it's got a check mark on it for each carrier and then through consumer rate quote, that means it's available. So just really quickly, since we are in Ohio, I'm just going to scroll all the way through so you can see all of our carrier partners that are available in Ohio for personal lines. And then you can see here, like for instance, Texas, not available for home, but they were available for auto. I just want you all to be able to see all of that nice and easy. So if you ever have a question on that, and same thing goes for Indium, you can come to that. So you see 49 carriers there in the state of Ohio. Back to the partnership really quickly. So besides the discounted pricing that we have, we also do sessions like this with you, right? We have educational sessions and demos that we'll put on for you, but then also, for instance, let's say you've got one of our other systems like AMS 360 or something like that. You know, we will put together some personalized webinars just for Indium and what it is exactly that y'all are looking for specifically, and work with Caleb on getting a few of those things together. So if that's something that interests you, it's on the way, and we'll be happy to put some of that stuff together for you. And then additionally, we've got our Orange partners as well, which I want to touch on. So we know here at Vertifor, and something that I think that's pretty important, I will love to talk about, is our philosophy of having open-in API and integration across the InsurTech space, but then also the other space as well. And these are our partners that we've gone out and specifically vetted, and we promote as Orange partners. I'll go through this list here in a second when I finish talking about it, so you can get some ideas and you can see these logos. But these are all of our partners that have gone out and vetted. We know that their systems work really well with ours. They've got two-way integration and all those things, because we know not everybody has the same tech stack. Not every agency is going to be the same. Like you might have AMS 360 and you might have Tarmica as well, right? Like there's a bunch of different stacks within the entire community, and there's a bunch of different folks. Like for instance, at all these conferences that you go to, and you see it's noisy. You see all these different people that tell you, oh, you need this for VoIP, you need this for text messaging, or whatever it is. And there's so many different options, but how do you get to them, right? And we want you to know that our philosophy with having an open API system and open integration is that we understand we're not going to be the one-stop shop. And if we are, awesome, great, right? But we do have a lot of other partners out there that we work with and that we endorse. And I'm just going to kind of go through some of those really quickly so you can see all of them. I won't name any of them or read any of these because that might be biased, but there's all sorts of different systems in here for folks that we work with in different particular parts of the insurance industry. For instance, like we can see that this one's an e-payment solution. There's websites, outsourcing services, text messaging platforms, and the like in between. If you got any questions on that, or also if you have a specific partner that you want us to get in touch with, we're happy to listen to that as well. I think, Lynn, I've probably talked a lot, and I'm sure there's some questions, so I'm just going to go ahead and stop sharing. Again, I'm pretty sure y'all know what a personal lines rater is, and you know that you can get that information directly through, you can get to your shared carriers directly through PL Rating. So if there's any questions around any of that, I'm here to talk to you.
Thanks, Dylan.
How much that's everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so I would love to open up Q&A. Does anybody have a question they want to start with? If not, I'm happy to start.
I have a quick question for Dylan. Is there any way to, for the rater side of things, is there any way, let's say you're using a competitor of yours, is there any way to move the information from that rater into PL rater, or do you kind of start over from scratch?
There's some data points that will move, and it's going to depend on other tools that you have. So, okay. But typically moving from a rater to a rater in software space, the data doesn't come over. You do lose that data, or you keep, one instance of it open and continue to pay for it because that's what you want. Or that information typically will go into your AMS system, and then you can pull some information over. Now, you're not going to be able to pull out that specific quotes or the dates that you quoted and stuff like that directly out of the rating system, but some stuff will, like your contact and some of that information. However, if you are a user of Agency Zoom, a lot of that information can be pulled out one way from agency. Take EasyLinks, for example, because that's one off the top of my head that I know this works with. But you can export a CSV file from EasyLinks, and you can bring that information in, upload it into Agency Zoom. And then let's say hypothetically you got PL rating, then that information will go directly into PL rating as well. You'll find the matching accounts, or if you don't have any matching, it'll all come over. Now, again, not everything's going to get pulled over. And I would ask you to, we can look into it and get you the specific stuff on that. I bet you Kat would know off the top of her head what exactly would come over and what wouldn't. But that's I won't call it a workaround, but that's an integration that we have set up. Just to kind of touch on that, Agency Zoom, Vertafore bought them 2 years ago. And prior to that, they had all of their own integration set up, one way, two way, or no way with a bunch of people. With the EasyLinks one specifically, that's how they historically did it, and that's how they're continually doing it. And the cool thing about that tool is that you have that opportunity. And like what I kind of said, obviously not everybody has the same tech stack out there. We have been able to see, other groups that might not have PL rating for their shared carriers, and they're using EasyLinks, but they have Agency Zoom. We're able to see them pull data across, back and forth, and get that stuff over. But to answer your question, no, the data typically doesn't come over rater to rater in the software space like it does in management systems.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just didn't wonder. But the workaround with Agency Zoom's interesting. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay, I would love to start with Dylan and talk about how you guys are seeing increased remarketing pressure impact how agencies are interacting with the raters. So first Dylan and then Hannah.
Yeah, this one is probably a shorter answer, but it's one of the biggest. It's one of the biggest and coolest things from my perspective. It's in the insurance industry. I'm seeing people use the platform more often. People that weren't using a rater specifically, or people that were all on paper and they've got their filing cabinets and they never want to get into technology side of things or adapt to technology. We're seeing people start to actually adapt to technology the way they didn't in the past. And from a software perspective, that's really important, and it's really cool to see in the insurance space because it's something that we've really been trying to push for from a software perspective for a really long time. So, getting rid of those paper cabinets and kind of coming back on technology.
What about you, Hannah? Or Heather? I'm sorry, I just called you Hannah, and your name is definitely Heather. I apologize.
You're fine. You're fine. Yeah, so I mean, my perspective on the question is, with Tarmica, I feel like historically was primarily used for new business quoting, but I feel like that's kind of shifted, particularly in the last, 9 to 12 months, as you said, with the pressures, remarketing carriers pulling out of certain states completely or tightening their underwriting guidelines, whether it be for certain classifications or like geographical areas. So whether agents like it or not, they're almost forced to be remarketing more and doing it more proactively as well. So we've kind of seen that shift in Tarmica because, it's now more important than ever, the ability to quickly and easily see what carriers are going to be eligible for a risk and who's going to be competitive. So you can get that in front of your customer.
Cool. Starting with Heather. Oh my God, starting with Heather again.
You must have a best friend named Hannah, Lindsay.
I don't know anyone named Hannah. I don't know where this is coming from. I would love if you could give us your biggest learning that you've learned from a user of Tarmica recently. It could be anything, here's the best practice for this, or just something that you've learned from someone who actually uses Tarmica every day.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think over the years, the original intent of Tarmica was to be that single entry comparative rater, speed to market, more efficient for account managers and CSRs to do that quoting. But I think kind of a byproduct of the platform that we've realized through the agencies that use it is actually giving them an avenue to open up their distribution to all of the different carriers that they work with, because it's no surprise to anyone that most agencies, have 2, 3, maybe 4 top carriers that are like their go-to companies. Anytime a piece of business comes across their desk, that's who they're going to market it with, or at least would have prior to using Tarmica. But now the platform has really allowed a lot of our agencies over time to submit to carriers maybe they otherwise would not have, and then be surprised at their ability to underwrite it or be competitive more so than maybe their top or core carriers. So I guess just to sum it up, that's been kind of a big revelation from a lot of our agencies, is not only the time savings, but the ability to open up the distribution and, hit those production requirements across their entire carrier portfolio.
What about you, Dylan? A biggest learning you've learned from like an agency who uses POR every day? Like, is there any specific like case study or like use case that you've found value from?
Yeah. So I told you I was out in Ohio maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking to some agents, and talking to one guy specifically. We're specifically talking about renewals and PL ratings specifically. And he's telling me, it's just me. I've got someone who's working part-time here, $30,000 a year. All she does is go through PL rating and find renewals and send out emails on renewals and let people know, hey, you're coming up. Depending on what, there's threshold or there's a change or, whatever the case is. And I've been talking to him about Agency Zoom for, not too long, maybe like 10 minutes, just kind of giving him a high-level overview. It's an awesome sales tool. It's a CRM. There's also automation in it. He told me that, and my jaw kind of hit the floor. I was like, you're paying someone $30,000 a year. You have both of our tools that work together with each other, and those two tools will do exactly that and save you $30,000 a year. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that. And well, yeah, absolutely. It found a little YouTube video that we have created on it, sent it over to him. 5-minute video, just literally walks through that specific process. And the emails that, so when it's triggered, the emails that go to PL rating that actually quote and then come back into to Agency Zoom, create the email that goes directly out to the agent. And that all happens automatically. And then you wake up, you come back to your desk on Tuesday, and you've got responses back from all the insureds, or you got a call from the insureds, and you've got all these tasks that show, hey, that stuff went out already. You got work to do. And maybe John's really happy with his quote, and he says, cool, let's go buy me. Or maybe Jessica's like, hey, I want to look at something else, or I want to change carriers, or whatever that is. His jaw and my jaw at the same time, we're both flabbergasted as the company that creates product and the company that uses the product. Again, going back to that last thing that I talked about adopting to technology. We were both kind of in this kind of stalemate, like, well, you didn't know, right? Because we could save him $30,000 just right there, right? And once the show made started to set it up, I've been back and forth over for a while, and he was like, I guess I got to find a new job for her because she's not doing renewals anymore. So I was like, well, we can teach her how to do sales or something like that. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool takeaway, and being able to meet people in person that utilize our products. I'm going around the country and talking to conferences and stuff. It's pretty cool because you get little stories like that. You get to learn more about how people are actually utilizing the product and kind of talk them into doing more with the products that we have, because they are so robust and there are so many things that you can do. Again, that's just one example. And that one example saves someone $30,000, right? That's what technology does for you. And sure, Heather would say the same thing, right?
Okay, the last question, unless anybody else has other questions. So my last question, I'll start with Dylan and then Heather. What's on the horizon for you guys with the rater or connectivity of your rater? Would love to hear what you guys are working on and where you're going.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm kind of going to talk about Vertfor as a whole quickly, and kind of go back into that. So for a long time, we were in PE. We were owned by Vista Equity, private equity company. And in 2021, I mean, I worked for Vista actually my entire career. I worked at, before I came into insurance, I was in the endurance industry. I worked for Active Network or Active.com, which is a SaaS platform that you register for races on. And since 2017, been in the insurance industry. But I've been with Vista the entire time. We were bought out by Roper Technology in 2021. If you look at all Roper's holdings together, they're a top 10 technology company in the entire country. So going from PE to get, and not, I'm not talking about PE because we've been PE for so long, but going into the public space, so publicly traded company, it's pretty cool, right? Because there's a lot of different things that happen and a lot of things that happen for your company. Like for instance, we're able to turn around and put back a lot more, 2 to 3 times more in revenue directly into R&D, that's R&D, that's the right word, into product, into fixing problems, into making new things, into building new things, which we haven't done in the past, and most companies that are in PE can't, right? Like they're probably putting in 10% or something like that, which is industry standard, but just so software knowledge for everyone. But it's really cool to be able to put that back into product and back into our company, which then essentially just trickles down to the customer, right? Because we're able to hire more account managers, hire more folks in support, hire more folks in product, in VAs, and more people in our company offices across seas, right? And we're really able to boost the company from down to build it up, which essentially trickles back down to the customer. And it's funny, I'm quite literally just telling this conversation 20 minutes ago to someone. At the end of the day, it benefits the customer. No matter what we're doing, that purchase benefits them because we're able to put more back into the questions that they're asking. We're able to focus on stuff in our roadmap that we haven't been able to focus on before, which I find really, really, really cool. I probably find everything cool when I'm talking, right? But for instance, and often not Tarmica, but we have a commercial rater as well, right? And we are able to put money into that and grow that and get it to a place where we're competing with Tarmica in the commercial space, right? I can't tell you if we are or not. I don't sell it. We'll just put it like that, right? But something that's really important in that is watching the adaptation, not just from the users, but from the carriers as well, right, Heather? Like we're starting to see more carriers go, oh, wow, we do need to adapt to this. We do need to be on this commercial submissions tool or Tarmica's commercial rater because the industry wants it, right? And as we just continue to grow and grow and grow, and both of our companies obviously grow, and the industry has a realization, which I think everybody has finally gotten in this hard market, that we need to adapt technology. We're starting to see a change, right? And I'm seeing it with the co-op that y'all have put in place at Indium, and I think it's the coolest thing for someone who works with nothing but networks. I wish every network would put that in place. I think it's the coolest tool from a software perspective that you're employing your members to utilize, and all of y'all on the call should be utilizing it. Right, it's free money, and you're able to see more insights from the network perspective. Looking down at your members, which everybody really wants, right? So being able to see the data that's out there, seeing the adaptation, being able for us to put more money into product and integration. And it would be really cool if every insurance technology worked across the board, right? Like for instance, right, my Garmin, it works with my iPhone, it works with Strava, it works with Nike, it works with all these different apps, right? But InsureTech doesn't work like that yet. And when we can get to a place like that, and insurance in general, right? When we can get to a place like that, I think it would be really, really good for the entire industry. And I'm here for it. I'm here for the long run to see it happen. Really long answer to a short question. Sorry.
That's all right. It was a great answer. Go ahead, Heather.
Alrighty, so for Tarmica specifically, there are a couple of big things that I wanted to know as far as what's on our horizon. I think anyone that's in the commercial rating space knows, there's kind of a gap at the end of the process where agents are like, okay, well, this is great. I'm getting the submissions out to the carriers, but how can I see which one I actually bound with, what the bound premium was, and how can I have really detailed reporting on that? And historically, the limitation there was just that a lot of these carriers don't have those two-way API integrations where they can automatically send that information back to you once premium is bound. Yes, carriers can download, feed that back to the management system, but it's not that direct two-way integration. But there have been a lot of carriers over the last, year or so that have started to develop those bind APIs. So we are looking to implement those more consistently in Tarmica so that agents can actually complete the binding flow in the platform rather than having to bridge out to the carriers and rely on them to send that information back into our system. And of course, once the binding is actually happening, natively within Tarmica, then we'll have the ability to provide analytics on it back to the agency as well. So I would say that's one thing that we're really excited about. And then the other, of course, for any agencies that are on either AC Links or Applied Epic under the Applied umbrella, we have already put in place integrations with both of those systems, but looking to next year, we're actually looking to deliver a fully embedded experience where the Tarmica quoting functionality will be hosted inside of both agency management systems. We'll always maintain standalone Tarmica so that users across the entire industry can use the platform. But that will just be, a really nice added benefit to those users. That will basically take away pretty much all of the duplicate data entry and allow for more of that reporting as well. So that's my answer.
Well, thank you both, Heather and Dylan, for joining. Does anyone else have any other questions that they can answer for you before we let them loose? Okay. All right, great. So I will send out the meeting recording and the link and email of where you can find both Tarmica and PLR help or to get started with them. And I'll include our co-op link where you can become eligible and submit your receipts for co-op this year. Thanks everybody for attending.
Thank you, Lindsay, for having me.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for having us.